First of all, thank everyone for being here. Thank all the girls and guys that were in the IG Live also. We're going to repeat, obviously, 2 or 3 things that we said there. But here, we're going to ask some more questions. Feel free to send anything you want to the chat or raise your hand. There's a button there in which you can raise your hand and say like, hey, I want to ask something. You can join us with video. You can join us with just the chat. And we're going to show you a couple of videos, 2 or 3 videos, some pictures, and we're going, first of all, let me introduce the participants. First of all, we have Mike Coots. Mike has been to Guadalupe a couple of times, 6 times, I believe. That's correct?
Yep. I think so, yeah, 5 or 6 times, yeah.
All right, he's coming with us again this September on 2 trips back to back. We're going to mention the dates, and we have some good discounts for those dates. We're going to get into detail into that later on. Mike is a surfer. Mike is a photographer. He has this amazing Instagram account. If you don't follow him already, make sure you do. And he's also a shark advocate, which we obviously love. And then we have Eric Higuera. Say hello, Eric. And well, Eric has been with us with the Pelagic Fleet family since forever, since the beginning of the Solmar 5. He has been on the SPOC millions of times. He's the pilot. He knows it inside and outside. He knows Guadalupe really well. He's been there also for many, many seasons, many, many years. And he's also a really, really, really good videographer, not just for the Solmar 5, for the BBC and you know, you name it, you know. I'm sure you've seen many of his videos and many of his photos everywhere. He's also a really close friend. I'm so happy to have you two here in this talk. And last but not least, we have Michael Ann, which is our new CEO. Well, not so new, time flies by, even in COVID times. And so yeah, I'm happy to introduce you 3. My name is Jorge de Aro. I'm in charge of all the marketing of the Pelagic Fleet. I've been in the Pelagic Fleet for 3 years now or more, I don't know. But it's been a fun ride so far. And well, I'll leave the microphone to Michael Ann so that she can tell us a little bit about Guadalupe, herself, and the Pelagic Fleet. Wait, Michael Ann, I'm
unmuted now.
There you are.
I didn't think I was actually going to say that much, but
feel free to say whatever you want.
Anyway, yeah, no, welcome everybody. This is a very cool platform. I love being able to see people from all over the world and friends from a distance, and it's awesome in these lovely times that we're in right now. But yeah, welcome to everybody here. We're very excited about the upcoming season of Guadalupe. It's such a unique, special place that if you haven't been there, you should go there. Because it's one of the best places in the world to get up close and personal encounters with the great white sharks, which are absolutely amazing. And I intend to go this year and get out there. I have been, but it's been a few years, and I definitely want to go back, and I definitely want to go on the SPOC, which you're going to hear about tonight, which is a very unique thing that we have that nobody else has, and it can get you. So yeah, I don't think you want to hear from here. You want to hear from the guys and hear what this is all about. So back to you guys.
Perfect. Well, just to get everyone in the mood, we're going to show a video. I'm going to share my screen and show you a video of Guadalupe Island. Basically, this video was made on the Solmar 5, which is our signature legendary vessel that it was the pioneer, it was the first boat to be there. And the guy talking in the video, it's Gerardo, our loved and dear friend and captain and spiritual guide. And he's also a complete character when you're in Guadalupe, because he's not just the captain, you know, he's always there. He's helping you with your weights. He's an amazing person alongside with all our fantastic crew. But with having said that, let me just share this with all of you. So here it is. Enjoy.
Hola, I'm Gerardo. I'm the captain. left the port of Ensenada and we're heading to Guadalupe Island. As soon as we get to the island, we're going to set the cages in the water and we're going to start the operation right away. Sharks are not like most of people think they are. They are very peaceful animals. It's fun to see people who come to the island. They can see a different truth. They can see a very peaceful, very magnificent animal. This kind of tourism is called nature tourism because they see the animals in their habitat and the behavior they have when they are free.
All right. So that was Guadalupe Island, that was the Solmar 5, and that was Gerardo, the captain. And right now I want Eric to tell us a little bit why Guadalupe Island is so special.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jorge, and good to see everyone again. Well, Guadalupe is, first of all, Guadalupe is the best place on earth to see white sharks in their own habitat, in the wild. The wilderness of this place is amazing, unique. The visibility is immense. It's like a dream. It's blue, crystal clear water. It's not that cold like in other parts of the world where you can find white sharks. The temperature goes between 67 Fahrenheit to 73, 72 Fahrenheit. That's about 18 Celsius, between 18 and 21 maximum. Well, it depends on the season, but in the summer, our summer in this side of the Pacific, which is July, August, September, October, that's when that's the temperature we have anyway. But that's the best place for me. It's so special because they're white sharks all the time. They're all sizes, juveniles, adults, semi-adults, big mamas. We call them big mamas, the big pregnant females. And since I was a kid, I always wanted to be in the water and see the white shark. And when I first went to Guadalupe, that was back in 2006, I went down in the submersible cage. I remember it was my job was to lower in the submersible cage. I filmed white sharks for back in the time, the pioneer of this great white shark cage diving in North America and the East Pacific, Lawrence Grodd, and then he gave me the opportunity to be in this submersible cage. And wow, that was the first time I saw the white shark, my first white shark. Definitely, that's when oh man, I'm not gonna leave this place. But you know, we always wonder what was beyond what we were saying. What was who they were going to hook up with, and you know, stuff like that. And that's when the idea of the SPOC, the self-propeller ocean cage, was born, and to see white sharks in their own habitat and still being inside the cage. So that changed the whole panorama, and that made what it was already special, it made it forever double special. That's what it's what.
So tell us the difference about, we have two surface cages, which are obviously in the surface, then the submersible cage, in which that's the one we're seeing right behind you actually.
But that's the from the old days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I know. The windows are different. We have new regulations. It's a complete different story. But well, that's the idea, no? We have two surface cages. Then we have a submersible cage, and then we have the SPOC, which we are the only ones that have the SPOC, basically. That's the SPOC, right?
Yeah, this is a SPOC. So definitely the proximity that you can have with the SPOC, it's undescribable. Mike, you were there already and you had the experience. You definitely would tell that I'm that I'm being honest and I'm telling the truth. So as you see on the video, it's this is a collection of footage that I got when I was in front. Definitely, I was taught how to drive the SPOC, but since I'm piloting it, I haven't been back in front to film white sharks. But this is what I got back in the time, and it's amazing. They, as you see on the video, they let you be right there, right next to them. They don't get scared. They don't get spooked. So even if we are underneath them, they tolerate to have us underneath them, and because the ventral side of the white shark is the vulnerable area. So
yeah.
So you definitely, when they have another shark underneath them, they go away because they don't want to be beaten from underneath. But with the SPOC, definitely you have to approach carefully. You have to respect them, first of all. We don't touch them. We don't do anything. We wait. We sit, hover a certain depth, and we just wait. And we let them accept us. And once we see some individuals that they let us be with them, that's when we start basically swimming with them. SPOC can travel right next to them, and that's when you got the spot. That's when you have you're gonna have the incredible opportunity of it. Let me show you another video of how close I was of a white shark for a long time.
Because you can keep up with them, no? Like how
exactly.
Fast
so yeah, something that I would like to mention is a lot of people say, even ask us, Jorge, isn't it? Can we swim outside the cage?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's forbidden. It's part of the management plan. It's part of the biosphere reserve regulations, and it's for safety reasons. Okay, the white sharks are not on the train. They're not the domesticated animals. They're still wild animals, even they look so beautiful. That's why we still need to protect ourselves, and safety reasons are number one in this industry, or this let's say the game. So, but I think swimming outside the cage is more like an ego. There is no, even if you do it, let's say in another situation, in another universe, that there was a regulator, you swim outside the cage, it's impossible that you can keep up with a white shark. Just a couple kicks and it's gone, and you're not going to be able to be right next to it. From the SPOC, you can be right next to them, as you see it on the video. You can be next to them for a long time, as long as the shark permits you. That particular individual that we are seeing on the video is the famous cat rib fin, also known as Shredder in the White Shark database book. And the last time I think we saw that friendly shark was back in 2011, and we haven't seen it since then. We think that probably, unfortunately, maybe got caught in a net, or maybe it was caught by poachers, but we don't know that. Or maybe it was too old. It was an old shark, and already it's no longer with us. Who knows what happened to him? But this shark was so mellow, so friendly. We used to make jokes about him, that he was just swimming in front of the cages, giving high five to everyone. But it was like a pet. So, but that's the difference with the SPOC. You don't need to swim outside the cage to be right next to the shark. If you are in the SPOC, you can be right next to them in real life.
Yeah,
so that's what makes the SPOC so different and special.
Perfect. Thanks. Well, we can actually getting on to the SPOC. Now we can show a video. This video was just made by Eric Higuera, and has some shots of Joe Pellner and New Media Soup in Instagram, and also from Maria Paula, a good friend, who also made these really cool drone shots and this interview in which Mike appears. But enough words, let me show you the video and enjoy. All right. There you go.
About 5 minutes in it, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Unbelievable. Sharks are really curious, and they would come around and do these passes where it's almost like a game of chicken, and they would look at you and last second turn away, and I was like, whoa, I've never experienced that, because it's cages are really cool, but it's sort of, you're almost like not disconnected, but you don't feel like you're part of their environment, whereas this I almost felt like I was. And it was maybe about 15 minutes into the dive that we had this white shark come circle around again, want to play chicken with us, and the last second just opened its mouth right in front of my port. It was the most amazing 45 minutes of my entire life, without a doubt. I'm like still shaking, and I got out like 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, and oh man, it was like, those moments are going to be ingrained in my life forever. It was pure bliss.
There we go. Could you hear it loud and clear? Yes?
Yep.
Ah, okay,
Yep.
perfect. I didn't know if... Okay, we have some questions here. Well, first, we're going to address those questions real quick in 2 or 3 minutes. But first, I wanted, well, to introduce Mike, obviously. If you
Hi, guys.
There he is. And yeah, Mike, just tell us a little bit of your experience in Guadalupe and the SPOC and whatever you want to say.
Okay. Wow. Well, that video definitely brought me back to that moment. I would say Guadalupe, this analogy might be the best. It's like you're pulling up to a gate of a whole nother world. There's a door, and beyond it is a universe filled with dinosaurs and filled with the most magical moments that you could ever imagine. And you get there and you go through the door and you see these dinosaurs and you're just so overwhelmed. And you can sit there on your front little lawn and watch these dinosaurs go by, or a hovercraft comes next to you and you can jump in it and you can get alongside these dinosaurs and float next to them. And I think the sharks think you're trying to figure out if you're a predator, if you're prey, the interaction with it. And like you mentioned, Eric, it's like you can go the same speed as a shark. So you're right alongside next to them. You feel the rush of the water going by you, and time just completely disappears. You are in this vortex of amazement, of magic, of just absolute. When you get off the SPOC, 45 minutes later, your life will be changed. That's 100%. It's something you will remember for the rest of your life. Like you can see in that video, I was shaking. I've never experienced anything like that. And there's just nothing else on it like it on Earth. It's absolutely beautiful. It really is. And I can't wait to go do it again.
In September.
Yeah.
Well, definitely you will go on the SPOC this September. And just so that everyone else knows, in case you weren't on the IG Live, Mike will be joining us, Eric as well, obviously. And this September, we have many trips. So you know, we have obviously the Solmar 5, which is our signature vessel. And also we have the new liveaboard, the Vortex liveaboard, which is basically bigger for less packs. So it's both of the experiences are great. The Solmar has like this really homey, familiar vibe with the crew that has been around forever. And obviously the Vortex, you have lots of space, you have Wi-Fi in case you want to share everything you're doing right away. And if you don't want to do that, then that's fine. Because some people don't like to connect while they're out there, and I completely get it because you're in this crazy, prehistoric environment with the sharks, and sometimes you don't want nothing to disconnect you from that. But the SPOC goes on both liveaboards, right? So at some trips, it goes on the Solmar 5, and some trips, it goes on the Vortex. So if any of you at some point want to join us on a trip to Guadalupe, just make sure to contact Elodie. I'm going to put her email here in the chat. Also, I want to remind everyone, there's a chat. If you go to the bottom, you just click on chat, and then you can write whatever you want, like any questions, and then you can tell us your questions, comments, hello notes, whatever, and we'll try to answer all of them. So Elodie is the girl in charge of reservations. She's in France, and the mail is reservations@pelagicfleet.com. So I just send that to the chat to everyone, just in case you want to send her an email or have any questions, or you can shoot them directly to Eric, Mike, or me. So tell us about, like, do you usually take, obviously you're a photographer, do you usually, are there more like for the pictures, more for the videos? How do you balance these, like being there with the camera and also putting the camera down and taking it all in?
Yeah, I'm actually doing both. I've got a GoPro on top of my water housing. I'm shooting stills, but I'm also shooting video. It's just there's moments that are lend for one or the other, and you kind of want to be ready for both. But I am focusing the entire time. My eye is for shooting stills, and kind of if I get cool GoPro stuff, I get cool GoPro stuff. And actually, unfortunately, my GoPro fogged during a really cool clip that would have been probably the best thing I ever filmed in my life. And it fogged up and I turned it off. So I missed a really amazing clip. So on next trip, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. Use the fog inserts. But yeah, it's if you really want to get amazing content, you're going to want to get amazing interactions, and the SPOC is perfect for that.
Yes, I haven't been on the SPOC yet. I really want to. But here, some people are asking us, Anna's iPad is asking us, how deep can you go in the SPOC and what is it made of?
Eric?
It can go as deep as your gas mix permit you. What I'm saying, basically, if you are on air, the maximum depth that we want to be able to go, it's according on recreational diving will be 130 feet. If we are on nitrox, definitely we can stay longer at certain depth. But if we were using another mix of gases, definitely we could go deeper, like trying trimix. I never tried that. We never try mixes of gases. We try nitrox and air, but basically we try to keep the depth within the recreational diving limits.
Absolutely. So now, just before I forget, Laila Sofia is asking, so the SPOC is on both Solmar and Vortex. Is there an extra charge for using the SPOC? Yes, as I was mentioning, well, we only have one SPOC, right? There's only one SPOC in the world, actually. And so we try to balance it out and have it some trips on the Solmar 5 and then some trips on the Vortex. We have it doesn't go on every trip, we wish, but obviously it's really, all the logistics and the maintenance and everything, it's really delicate. So safety comes first, and we can only take it on certain numbers of trips per season. It only goes to Guadalupe, obviously. For Socorro, it doesn't make sense because you don't need a cage for that, for the giant mantas. So, and there is an extra charge. We recommend booking it in advance, obviously, because it fills up really quickly. Sometimes it's quite new for us to use it with guests. It was used before for TV productions and for scientific research. And obviously everyone wanted to go in it, no? So the trip last Guadalupe season, I was in Guadalupe, and everyone who saw the SPOC, obviously on the spot, wanted to book. You can book on the spot, of course, but obviously the idea is to pre-book it. And it has an extra cost. I'm going to share everything, also all the details here on the chat. I'm going to send a file so that you have all the information, and you can send us an email and we can book it. But it's good to mention that right now we have a 10% discount. So if you book it in advance, you have a 10% discount and you get the 2019 price. And also if you want to join Mike on one of his trips, he's going in September. September 7th to the 11th, and then September 12th to the 16th. Both, I'm going to put that on the chat so that you know. And both of those trips are on the Vortex, which is our new livable. Okay, then how long can you be underwater in the spot? I assume that's SPOC. Yes, average time underwater for immersion.
Well, if we are diving on air, depends. It's basically like you were doing a regular dive, an air dive. You know that the deeper you go, the less time you're going to have. But in Guadalupe, it's not about going too deep. It's about going where the sharks are. And every dive is different. Sometimes we have the sharks at 40, 50 feet. That's about 12, 15 meters. But sometimes we have them shallower. But we try to stay within those within that depth. Why? Because we can extend our bottom time. But and also for sometimes the water gets pretty chilly. You don't feel it in the surface cages up up at the surface, but you definitely feel the chilly water down deeper than the surface cages. So, but normally we try to keep it in within 45, 50 minutes. Of course, that we still have air, and all of a sudden we have good action, lots of multiple sharks all closed. Maybe we have some showing unique behavior. Definitely we could stay longer, but as long as we have enough air. We have a pressure gauge that we are monitoring our air source, and pretty much like you were doing a regular dive, except that you are not kicking. The SPOC is taking you.
Exactly. Just the adrenaline. That's the only problem.
Yeah, the adrenaline. You have to stay calm, for sure. Don't panic. It's organic. And basically enjoy the ride.
So, yeah. Mike, can you tell us, I know anyone who has been to Guadalupe knows this, but if you haven't been, tell us the difference between the surface cages, the submersible cage, and the SPOC. Like, how does it feel?
Yeah, for myself, the number one is the SPOC. Just because the interactions for photography, I'm speaking of trying to capture imagery. The second would be the surface cage. And even to that question of how deep you can go in the SPOC, I would suggest if you have more surface time being at a shallower depth and you have better lighting for photography and video, then do that, because that's where you start losing colors real fast as you go deeper. And if you're right at the surface, the light at Guadalupe and the brightness, and the water clarity is unbelievable, that it looks ethereal. Like I get a lot of questions and messages on my social media of like, how do you make the water so clear? And it's like, I didn't, that's just how it is. And that's what lends to good shark photography. And I like to use longer focal lengths, not so much wide angle. So I have a little more distance with my subject to camera, and you have more atmosphere, or you have more water volume between yourself and the subject. And that's only possible in locations like Guadalupe, where the water is so clear. So by having very clear water, it gives me more lens choices to use. And in a sense, I can tell these stories a little differently. And aesthetically, it looks a little different than if I were shooting in murky water and having to be really close to sharks. Then you have to use a wide angle lens to fit such a big animal into your frame. So that's really a benefit of Guadalupe, is it gives you can use all the tools in the toolbox per se, if you want to capture shark imagery. And then the weather and the warmth at the surface. I just like, what I do is when I go in the cage, I sort of kind of curl up in a little ball, and I just, for a second, I watch and I see the dance and I see everything kind of flowing around, because there is a rhythm. There's a total rhythm. And when you shoot tiger sharks, everything's a lot slower. When you shoot great whites, stuff's happening so fast. And the one thing that you can't fix in Lightroom or in Photoshop or anything is your focus. And because stuff's happening so fast, you need to nail the focus. So you've really got to anticipate stuff. And the only way to anticipate these moments is to have a feel of the flow of what the sharks are doing. So it's almost like when we go surfing, we'll sit and watch the ocean for a little bit before you paddle out. It's the same thing, I think, in a cage at the surface, kind of watching what's going on. And then I sort of just kind of go in this Zen state, and just everything else gets blocked out, and you're really focusing on the sharks, on composition, on focus. And finding little moments and anticipating moments. And then being in the submersible down below, it's cool because you can get sort of more silhouette stuff. You can get sharks kind of, when you're at the surface cage, you're either looking directly at a shark or you're looking at sharks below you, whereas you're below, you're looking more at the sun, the rays coming down, and it's just a different look. And if you want to have a portfolio of a bunch of different images, you almost want to try all three of them for sure. But my top two choices would be first the SPOC and secondly the surface cage.
That's funny. For me, I've been to Guadalupe 2 times.
Yep.
One on the Solmar and one on the Vortex. And I don't know why, but I love the submersible one.
Yeah, no, people do. It's just, it's what you like. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I asked friends, and some people like one and some like the other.
Yeah.
For me, the submersible one is more like, obviously, I haven't been on the SPOC, but it gets me more like in their environment, you know? The bait is way, like the wranglers, everything is happening far away. So if a shark comes by, it's really, really to inspect you, right? Just like to look at you, make eye contact. And I don't know, obviously it's colder. So you feel a bit more chilly. You feel more alone in a way. You're down there, you know. And obviously those shots, not like photographs, but just like those memory shots that I have of the shark silhouette going. And you can see the behavior, right? You can see like how the shark is going towards. Every shark has a different behavior, obviously, and a personality. So you see, like, oh, this sneaky guy is coming right, like, from behind the boat, so that the wranglers can't see him, and then just reach. So that for me was that was amazing.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, hey, do you have more videos of the SPOC and underwater images? Just so you know, well, actually, we have Joel here. Is the other. Let me unmute you for a minute, Joe. What?
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
Hey, Joel, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Eric?
Good.
Cool.
Just so everyone knows, Joel, well, you can see some amazing shots behind, and he also has a really cool Instagram account and really good footage in general of great whites. And the video we just displayed has some of his shots. So that's pretty cool. And talking about that, I'm going to invite Maria Paula, who also, if she's ready, I just asked her to put video. So, are you there? Can you hear us, Maria Paula? Probably she wasn't ready for video just yet. That's okay. You can tell me when you're ready.
I'm all.
Don't worry, Maria Paula. We can wait. We can wait.
Haciendo mejor.
¿Lista?
Perdón.
No.
Yes.
There you are.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting that.
No, of course, you had to be in the call. Maria Paula also, she was the one who interviewed Mike, and she's been to Guadalupe, obviously. And you can also tell us about your experience in Guadalupe and the cages and all that stuff.
Well, it was amazing. I think it has been one of the most amazing experiences I have. I really wanted to go for a long time, and to be there with the sharks, with those huge animals that look like dinosaurs, it was amazing. And the submersible cage, I think it was one of my favorite. I also wanted to go on the SPOC, but I couldn't that time, so I have to go back.
Yes. What about you, Joel?
I love the SPOC. I can't wait to go back down and get into there. It was awesome. We actually squeezed in a short trip. Was it even 30 minutes, Eric? It was right at the end. We were getting ready to actually
like 30 minutes
head out.
Max.
Yeah. And, so it was amazing. And I was going to actually mention, besides the amazing, the wonderful experience of being in the SPOC and being able to film, when you're out there in Guadalupe, don't forget to get as much topside coverage as possible, because it's kind of neat. I was flying the drone over the SPOC while people are getting in, and it's just this whole other connection to it. Just be able to tell the story. I love the SPOC though. I can't wait to go back and get in it. Get some. There it is.
There it is.
Wow.
There it is.
So yeah, so it's pretty amazing. I think Joe Romero was down in there at the time when I was filming this. I was filming this shot from within just the surface cage. So definitely it's great when the SPOC is on a trip like that.
Yes, we'll publish so that everyone knows what trips we have the SPOC. Anna's mentioned, do you have the cost? Yes, we do have the cost. I'm going to put it right here in the it's for this year it's $750 per immersion, but you get the 10% discount. So that's $675. That was 2019. So basically you get 2019's rate, and we do recommend booking in advance since it will fill up pretty quickly. Now that it's like completely open for guests to use, you have to be certified and all that. But, well, first of all, it's definitely worth it. And I already wrote Elodie's email, and you can ask for availability right there. Also, we have a question here, Mike. I know you are not like the standard underwater photographer. You you love photography in your own way, and then you applied some of that photography for underwater photography, which is not like the usual way to go. But having said that, what gear, what equipment for underwater photography for a beginner would you recommend, Mike?
Ooh, good question. For a beginner, it's basically, I guess, what you can afford. It's good to have like a DSLR, like Canon or Nikon, or even a Sony, with different lenses and a water housing. I use Aquatech water housing, but that being said, it's going to cut to start with your $3,000, $4,000 US already in to just get that, unless you get a used sort of secondhand, and you can get that for about 1,500. GoPro is pretty amazing. Throw a red filter on a GoPro. Some of my best shots were with like the second version of the GoPro, the Hero 2, the Hero 3. I think you can pick those up used for maybe $150. You can get and a lot of people on our last trip had this waterproof case for your iPhone. That's pretty amazing. But I don't know if I'd really want to take my phone with all my contacts and personal photos and everything underwater if it gets flooded. So I would suggest a GoPro. They're amazing. You can do incredibly cool slow-mo videos. I use the half-second timer mode, and you get big enough files to do large prints or semi-large prints. I think like 24 by 36 is a great size with a GoPro. But if you do have the money and you want to do this pretty regularly, I would suggest investing in a Sony and a Nikon or a Canon and getting yourself a good lens and a good water housing. You don't necessarily, for Guadalupe, need like a proper dive housing. You can use a surface housing, like what a lot of surfers use. Mine's rated for 33 feet, although I've taken it, I think, to about 70 feet. But it works perfect, especially for surface work.
Yes, I think, and also the GoPro is the one you mentioned that you take photos and videos at the same time, no?
Not at the same time, but you can switch between the two pretty fast. Or you can just have two GoPros and have one running video and one running stills. What I do is I actually have it right here. I have my Aquatech surface housing. So this, I can even go in the submersible. I shot this in the SPOC, and I've got a mount here for the GoPro on top, and I will, I will kind of, I have this little sort of angler, and I shoot a lot of my stuff directly for Instagram. So I'm shooting vertical, but because I'm shooting this vertical as well, it'll throw the GoPro vertical. So both are vertical. And then this is for a 50mm lens right here. I found the nifty 50 is perfect for sharks. Although I've experimented with the 24-70, I would like to start shooting more macro stuff. I think there's a 100 macro, and the 24-70 is a great lens as well. And I've shot with all the fisheye lenses, but I just like the look of portrait lenses, and that's kind of my style. It compresses sharks. It gives them a little bit more depth and character, as I feel. And it just, you get little moments, I guess, and little detail stuff that you might not get with a fisheye.
Yeah. And that, because can you tell us a little bit how you started photography before?
Yeah, I was born here in Hawaii. I lost my leg to a tiger shark. I was an avid bodyboarder when I was 18. And I was out on the water for a little while. I had a surfing coach, and he had a bunch of camera gear. Most of my friends were top pro surfers. So I started photographing them, selling it to their sponsors, to magazines, used some of that money to buy my own camera gear. I wanted to work for a bikini company and shoot swimsuits and that kind of thing. And I got accepted to Brooks Institute of Photography in Santa Barbara. I spent 4 years studying art. I majored in portraiture. I just really wanted to shoot people, and finished school. I worked for most of or all the main US surf magazines, a lot of international magazines. I worked for Quicksilver for a few years as a staff photographer, and kind of just really enjoyed shooting surfing and lifestyle stuff. And it wasn't until my first trip to Guadalupe, maybe 8 years ago, I brought the very first GoPro I won in a surfing contest. One of the prizes, a GoPro. I took it, this might've been, about 7, 8 years ago. And I had no idea even really about shark photography. And right then and there, I fell in love with it. And ever since then, I've just absolutely loved photographing sharks. I've worked on the policy side of shark conservation. I helped with some bills here at the U.S. Senate with a state bill here in Hawaii. I've worked with the UN on creating shark sanctuaries. So I work a bit on the social media side and creating content, but also with politicians and creating, I guess, stronger teeth in shark laws.
And how quick was, like, since you had the shark attack to being a shark advocate, how quick was this transition?
It was definitely, it was a while afterwards. And it was really, after watching Rob Stewart's Shark Water, it blew me away. And I had to be honest, after the shark attack that morning when I got attacked, I smelled a really foul smell. The water was dirty, it was fishy, and I read shark attack books and shark attack files, and for a couple of years trying to figure out a rhyme or reason why I got attacked. And in the process, I learned a lot about what sharks were doing to humans. No idea what humans were doing to sharks. And it wasn't until Rob Stewart's Shark Water that I saw what was really going on, and I felt compelled to move in my, I guess, unique situation as a shark attack survivor. And ever since then, it's been a wild ride.
Cool. I like that story.
Yeah.
I didn't know that particular bit, like how quick or how was
it was
that
based, I mean, that was a defining, that movie for me was a defining moment of my life. I really had no clue about shark fin soup, about overfishing, about what we were doing to sharks. That number that came on the screen at the time was 70 million sharks a year killed for their fins. That number alone blew me away. I distinctly remember like rewinding the YouTube video. That must be a typo or an error. And sure enough, and I believe it's even more so now.
Yes. No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that's a good story. I like it.
Yes, it is.
Now they're asking, is the SPOC only for one person? If I get in, do I have to drive it myself? That's Antonio Villar. No, the SPOC it's for two persons.
Can you drive it yourself? Can you drive it yourself?
Eric can tell us a little bit. I imagine it's not very hard, but it has to be, well, you're underwater. It's like driving a spaceship. Well, when you're in the surface cage or the submersible cage and you just see the SPOC going, like floating and going after a shark, you're like, what? It looks alien, no? In a way. Amazing. But you can tell us a little bit about that, Eric. Like, how hard is it to drive? Where is the pilot? Where is the guest? What does the guest have to do to get in, to get out? How comfortable it is to be in there? Where are your hands? Where are your feet?
Sure, yeah, definitely. There is what's the name of this guy? Let me see.
Antonio,
to answer the question and to everyone who is also wondering, it's definitely two people. You can get in, but you cannot drive it. I mean, you could, but you need to learn how to do it. So it's two persons, the pilot, in this case myself, and in front, which the pilot, it's on the back, and the photographer or filmmaker or videographer, just regular passenger that is going to enjoy the ride, goes in front. And that's basically the capacity of the SPOC, two people.
Correct. Now, Rodrigo.
And the way how it looks when you are inside. Yeah, go ahead. I will drag the video.
Rodrigo Grillo is asking us if we only do touristic expeditions or do we also sometimes do scientific expeditions?
We do scientific expeditions, but so far we have worked with the White Shark resident Mauricio Hoyos, and who is the Mexican White Shark scientific researcher. We help him in some of his scientific projects. The help has consisted in retrieving and looking for receivers, stationary receivers that are tracking white sharks that he tags, and sometimes for a reason he needs to look for certain receivers that are in the zone where there are so many white sharks. So that's when we use the SPOC for scientific purposes. And also this SPOC was initially designed to document unique white shark behavior like feeding, predation events, and fighting, because white sharks are territorial especially when they're bigger sharks than others, and also mating. But we have seen fighting behavior, we haven't seen predation events yet, and we haven't seen white sharks mating yet either. So those are the kind of scientific expeditions we have conducted with the SPOC.
That's another.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We have done a lot of filming expeditions. We took Bob Talbot once many years ago, David Blaine, the magician, Paul Atkins, this filmmaker, and we have taken Mike Mueller, also I think Philippe Cousteau, another private cameraman that has been involved in filming projects. We number of filming projects, I don't quite remember. It's been quite a few, more than 10, quite a few, sorry. It's been in Sharwick. Also, it was part of the shallow water invasion back in 2015, I think. It was also part of Shark BBC, the 3-episode Landmark back in 2014. It was to film white sharks, and those are the ones I remember.
Cool. Mike, how are you doing on time?
I have to jump off maybe in like 10 minutes or so.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So before you go, I want to play the video again for the guys that just joined. It's 60 seconds, so if you already watched it, you can have a quick restroom rest or watch it again because I love it. And then just before that, Mike, I was also curious, like, have you seen any change in Guadalupe? Like different, if you go early in the season or late in the season, or 8 years ago and now, do you see more sharks, bigger, smaller, any differences? How has it changed your experience?
It seems like there's more sharks. My last couple of trips, there were so many sharks. And it's honestly like, there's just so many sharks. Every time I've gone, there's been a lot of sharks. There's not been a lack of sharks at all. It's more, I like good weather and things like that for photography. And the sharks are going to be there. That's just my experience every time.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
When I talk to people that have been there many, many times, I'm really happy to hear that every year the action is getting better, because we say that, right? But we don't have to say that, but people say, like, of course you're going to say it. But it is quite interesting. I don't know why. I don't know if you, Eric, know, but it's been getting crazier. The action has been more and more and more, and also the breaching of the sharks. Before it was like just once in a while, and right now the experience you mentioned, no, the shark breaching.
I saw almost incredible 2 breaches in one day. Absolutely incredible. One I had coffee in my hand, and the other I missed it. Drinking a cup of coffee. Yeah. I'll never forget that. And unbelievable. And even 8 years ago, like I had no idea what to expect at Guadalupe, and we pulled up after the 24-hour crossing, and I could hear the everybody sort of asleep, half asleep, and you could hear the anchor kind of rumbling burp, so you know you're there. And I got up, and it was like 7 a.m, and people started getting breakfast, and they're like, "You want to jump in the shark cage?" And I was the first one to go in. And on the trip, we had talked about what other fish. I was like interested in seeing wahoo and mahi and tuna and things like that. And I was like, I'll just go under and see if I can see any tuna or just something cool, maybe some bait fish or something. And I really didn't realize how many sharks were there. And I jumped in the cage by myself, and I literally, 1 second later, I turned over my shoulder, and there was a huge great white just staring right at me. And I like screamed in the regulator. I went straight to the top, and I told the guys that were managing the cage, I'm like, "There's a shark here." And they were chuckling, and they're like, "That's why you're here." And I went back down, and everybody started filtering in, and I'll never forget that. It was like that fast we saw a shark.
Yes, that happens. Sometimes you're just getting there and you see great whites around there. And you're like, what? It's like if there was a cue, like, okay, show us about to begin. Everyone go out. What has been another moment, like a memorable moment?
So that moment right there, the moment when I saw the shark breach, that was my last trip to Guadalupe, and then the time in the SPOC. Those are my top 3 by far. It's just, I will never, like, I can paint perfectly a picture of all 3 of those moments, what I saw. Like, it is, I went to sleep those nights, and you can just replay it in your brain. Like, it's that vivid and that tangible of just, I'll never forget that.
And I also love when you don't have a picture or a video, right? Because then it's the memory itself that you get to replay. Sometimes if you look at the picture, then you remember. And
I was kicking myself, and I waited for that breach the rest of the day. I went through 2 batteries, my autofocus, trying to ready, and it never happened. And it was just one of those special moments. Like the shark completely out of the water. I could see its eyes just scanning me as it's kind of moving across, and I could see it was like completely slow motion. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. And this would have been maybe 6 feet away off the swim step.
Yeah.
Like you could just like right there.
And why don't you describe just like a normal day in Guadalupe from the time you wake up briefly to when you go to sleep?
Yep. So I'll get up, anticipate having, because I'm kind of a slow riser. I get up earlier than I probably should. I start with my coffee. The crew's got a beautiful breakfast, kind of take my time. Then I'll start kind of looking at the weather, waiting for the sun to rise. It's still dark out, and kind of anticipating where the sun's going to rise, start getting my gear ready. I double check everything. I really believe luck favors the prepared, that if you're ready for something to happen, stuff will happen. And then as soon as we can get in the cages, I'll sort of get in the cages, and then you rotate out depending on how many people want to dive that day. And I just really try to spend as much time as I can in the cage. Everything else is sort of secondary. There's good food. There's, if you want beers, there's all kind, and there's just good company, but I'm really there. It's for the sharks. And I just really try to spend as much time as I can underwater, because it's a special time that you'll get nowhere else in the world. And then as soon as sort of the day wraps up, we're done with the diving. I'll maybe cheers with a beer with some friends on the boat. A lot of new friends that you make, because it's just, you're in close quarters for, a good amount of time. Usually there's no cell phone, there's no Wi-Fi, nobody's on their devices. You're really having like these awesome conversations, everybody there because they love sharks. It's really cool. And everybody's kind of just got this excitement about the next day. Start double checking gear, dinner's ready, have dinner. And then you're pretty exhausted because you've been in the water maybe 8 hours that day. Finish dinner, check gear again, maybe go through images of the day. I kind of like to just wait until I get back home in Hawaii or back in California to start looking at my images, but I'll maybe glance at a couple to make sure my settings and focus and everything is good, and recharge batteries, change out your memory cards, and do it all again the next morning.
And go to sleep and dream of
and go to sleep and dream of sharks. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, that happens. There's a really good question. Well, you can ask it yourself. You're here, so that you ask it better.
Oh, sure, Jorge. Yeah. So actually, my wife's over here. Jen and I we've talked about this before. With the SPOC, what is necessary? So, do you need any additional training, other scuba certifications or training to ride in the SPOC? Because you do use a full face mask, and you are needing to work with communication so you can communicate with the pilot. And so I think somebody else also asked about safety and security measures. So some of that does kind of play in, but yeah, what do you guys think? Can I just go if I've got basic open water, or?
Eric?
I can answer half of the question, and I will leave the other half to Mike.
There we go.
So you don't need to have a special training except for being certified. Okay, you need to be able to master your open water diving skills. To control your breathing, to control your regulator, your mask, and stuff like that. To equalize your ears, because you are not kicking, you are being taken by the SPOC. So those are the main things. Basically, you just have to be good at it. And the other training that you only receive is on location, right? It can take like an hour before to do your dive. You just go through safety protocols, safety procedures that are explained by myself, and what to do, what not to do, how to get in the water, how to get out of the water, when to do it, when not to do it, and how to use the full face mask, because we need to have communication. There has to be communication between the pilot and the photographer or the passenger, let's call it passenger, all the time for safety reasons. And in case if we had a problem that the communication would fail, because at the end of the day, the full face masks are electronic devices and can fail, can run out of battery. Like, I think, Mike, we ran out of battery in our full face mask, remember? And we just moved to hand signals and worked perfectly. That's the only training you need. That's it.
Yeah, so we went up to the top, and Eric kind of broke down for an hour or so the safety. What kind of the process of what we're going to be doing, redundancy systems, so like our communications, if it goes out like it did, we use hand signals so that everything is just, it's got to flow. And you really, I think it kind of helps your mental, you build that confidence that, okay, we've got safety plans for this, this, and this. And if this happens, there's redundancy for this, this, and this. And so then you kind of put that all aside and you can really focus on capturing great images.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, I remember, you know, Eric really put my mind at ease and just kind of calmed the situation, saying, you know, here's exactly what you might run into, all of the sort of factors that, you know, because I mean, safety is important if you're going to go do something you've never done before. So you know, this is a new experience for a lot of people that have only had a tank on their back, you know, so it's similar, but in some ways, you know, there are some differences that you need to be aware of. And I just wanted to get down there to get these unique camera angles. This is from the cage, but there are a couple of shots in the virtual background that are clearly from underneath the shark, where the shark is, you know, coming up. And you know, it's those are shots you can't get any other way, you know, at least no other way safely.
Yeah. No,
So,
and sometimes I love that you maybe that particular video you have in your background is in slow-mo, no, a little bit, but the experience itself, sometimes you say, wait, everything seems to be in slow-mo, right? Like
yes,
how the
it
sharks
does feel like it's in
move,
slow-mo.
and they look at you right in the eye.
Yeah.
Like all the silence and all those little particles and the shiny sun and rays of light.
Right.
Everything is like your breathing and your rhythm, everything changes, and you're just like in slow-mo. You're like the whole day you're really hyped up and really euphoric, but in slow-mo. So it's like this, almost like a weird feeling to be in slow-mo, but with all this emotion at the same time.
Correct. Yeah, it is. This is a slow frame rate. I mean, it's slowed down a little bit, but still, it does feel like an experience that is, there's a time has frozen somehow, or at least slowed down dramatically.
Yeah,
that's how the whole experience is, even just in the cage. You all of a sudden they're, you know, might pull on the rope saying, hey, you've been in there for 2 hours, you know, someone else needs a chance or something.
Yeah, that's true. And also what I like is being in the surface cage is a completely different experience than being on the submersible cage. And if you're done with that, then you just go up, have a beer, and look at the island, see sharks breach, and then at night hear the sea lions and the elephant seals and all the colonies, you know, and it's a very immersive experience in and out of the water for 3 days that may feel like a week or a month, or you're so far away that it's crazy. So guys, we're running out of time. First of all, thank you everyone for joining us, for listening, for the video, for the shots. I think we can say goodbye by looking at the video one more time, and then we'll just wave our way out. And well, thank you really, really so much for taking this time, Mike, Eric, Joel, Maria Paula, and all the other more than 40 participants that have been in and out of this Zoom call and also on the IG Live. It's been a pleasure, and I'm going to play that beautiful video one more time.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Okay, this is our cue. Enjoy.
About 5 minutes in it, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Unbelievable. Sharks are...
1 second.
From the top.
I just wanted
last
to make
second
sure.
turn away, and I was like, wow.
I just want to make sure the sound was on, but you can hear it correctly, no?
Yes.
All right. Take 2.
About 5 minutes in it, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Unbelievable. Sharks are really curious, and they would come around and do these passes where it's almost like a game of chicken, and they would look at you and last second turn away, and I was like, whoa, I've never experienced that, because cages are really cool, but it's sort of, you're almost like not disconnected, but you don't feel like you're part of their environment. Whereas this, I almost felt like I was. And it was maybe about 15 minutes into the dive that we had this white shark come circle around again, want to play chicken with us, and the last second just opened its mouth right in front of my port. It was the most amazing 45 minutes of my entire life, without a doubt. I'm like still shaking, and I got out like 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago, and oh man, it was like, those moments are going to be ingrained in my life forever. It was pure bliss.
All right, so that was it. And just to end this call, well, again, I want to thank everyone for joining. And someone was asking if this is like an experience just for underwater photographers or videographers, or for anyone. What would you say, Mike?
This is for everybody. As long as you are certified.
No, the SPOC, but I'm talking about Guadalupe Island. Like,
well,
Guadalupe Island, it doesn't have to be for underwater photographers. Like, I think most of the people that go there maybe own a camera or a housing or something, but just the experience being there. There are some guys, this is a really interesting note, that have been to Guadalupe more than once and have never been in the cage. Like just being out there, like they probably their wife or their son or whoever loves the cage and loves the great whites, and they just want to go there and have a beer and see the sharks breach and take photos from the sun deck, and that's it. So it's really recommended for everyone. And well, I just want to remind you, I wrote it down here in the here saying like, can you share the document you said about rate and specifications? Sure, we will share those. We will share Elodie's email. She's the girl in charge of reservations. I just want to remind that Mike and Eric will be joining us in September. We'll share the dates also. Make sure you follow us on Instagram @VortexLivaBoard, and we'll share all the information there. You can join our newsletter. Just write your email on the chat and I'll add you there. And we'll send all the specs and all the rates and all the schedules for the SPOC. And thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure. Mike, enjoy. Mike is going to have another call right now for, what was it about? Like
photography, yeah. With sharks, yeah.
Oh,
Should be fun. Yeah.
very busy.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, guys.
See you guys.
See you soon.
Very nice to see you. Mike, Eric.
thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.